You've tried the planner, you've tried the app, you've tried the just wake up earlier trick your coworker swears by, and every single time, it falls apart by Wednesday. Here's the thing nobody tells you. It was never about discipline. It was never about being lazy either. There's a switch in your brain, a real, physical one, that decides whether your life feels organized or like a pile of loose ends. And most people go their whole lives never knowing it exists. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that switch is, why it burns out faster than you think, and why some people seem to run their whole life on autopilot while you're white-knuckling through a to-do list that never gets shorter. If you've ever felt like you're failing at something that should be simple, stick around. By the end of this, you'll never look at your own habits the same way. And hey, if you're new here, consider sticking around for more of this stuff. It helps more than you'd think. Let's get into it. Picture two people getting ready for the same Monday morning. One of them glides through it. Coffee's made before the alarm even finishes ringing. Keys are exactly where they left them. The bag was packed the night before without even thinking about it. The other person is you, maybe, searching for one shoe, running back inside twice, already exhausted, and the day hasn't even started. We've been taught to explain this gap with a tidy little story. Some people are just wired that way. Some people have willpower, others don't. Case closed. Except that story is wrong. And once you understand why, you'll stop being so hard on yourself. Deep inside your mind, there are two very different operators running the show. One of them works fast, quiet, and effortless. It's the part of you that recognizes a friend's face in a crowd, finishes the sentence, peanut butter, and, or slams the brakes before you've even consciously registered the car in front of you. It never asks permission. It just acts. The other one is slower, heavier. It's the part of you that has to sit down and actually do the math, weigh the options, resist the donut, and force yourself to stick to the plan even when every fibre of your being wants to scroll on the couch instead. Here's the twist. That second part, the deliberate disciplined one, is lazy by nature. Not lazy like unmotivated. Lazy like a muscle that gets tired the second you ask it to lift something heavy. One psychologist who spent his career studying this, work that eventually earned him a Nobel Prize, described it almost like a character in a story, a supporting actor who's convinced he's the hero, when really the fast automatic part of your mind is pulling most of the strings behind the scenes, and organising your life, sorting your closet, sticking to a routine, remembering the 15 small tasks that keep a household running. That's not something your fast automatic brain enjoys doing. It despises effortful step-by-step thinking. Left alone, it always looks for the easiest way out. Not because you're broken, because that's what this system is built to do. So when you fail at getting organised, you're not failing at character. You're running into the natural limits of a mental system that was never designed to sustain heavy lifting for very long. A system that runs out of steam far faster than you'd expect. And that's exactly where it gets interesting. Because the people who seem effortlessly put together, they didn't get a stronger version of that tired, deliberate system. They found a way around needing it in the first place. Stick with me, because what happens next explains why your willpower vanishes by 3 p.m, why hunger wrecks your best intentions, and why the most disciplined-looking people you know might not actually be using discipline at all. Let that sink in for a second. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why does your resolve to eat healthy always collapse at night and almost never at 9 a.m? It's not a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence that your desk gets messier as the week goes on, or that the pile of mail you swore you'd deal with just grows. Researchers ran an experiment that still makes people uncomfortable. They asked volunteers to do something small. Just resist getting distracted, ignore a stream of tempting words flashing across a screen while they focused on a task. Nothing physical, nothing exhausting, on paper. Afterward, those same people were handed a glass of lemonade before a second challenge. Half of them got lemonade sweetened with real sugar. The other half got a sugar-free version. Same taste, no calories. The group that drank the real sugar performed noticeably better on the next test of self-control. The other group caved faster, made sloppier choices, and gave in to easy, intuitive, but wrong answers. Willpower, it turns out, isn't just a figure of speech. It runs on actual fuel. Your brain burns through blood sugar every time it forces itself to stay focused, resist a craving, or push through a task it would rather avoid. And once that tank runs low, the deliberate, organized version of you clocks out, and the impulsive, path of least resistance version clocks in. Think about your own day for a second. You wake up with decent resolve. You make it through emails, through traffic, through a dozen tiny decisions and irritations. By the time you get home, something's different. You're not choosing the salad anymore. You're not folding the laundry. You're just done. Running on fumes. That's not a character flaw showing up at 6 p.m. That's a battery reading 0. And here's the layer almost nobody talks about. It's not only food and sleep that drain this battery. Every conflict you swallow, every irritating coworker you stay polite with, every temptation you resist, it's all pulled from the exact same limited reserve. Self-control at work in the morning quietly steals from your ability to stay organized at home that night. It's one shared account, and everything withdraws from it. So if you've ever wondered why you can be disciplined about your career but a total mess with your closet, now you know. You're not two different people. You're one person with one limited tank, spent unevenly across everything demanding your attention. But here's where it gets even stranger. Because fatigue doesn't just make you sloppy. In the right circumstances, it can quietly decide outcomes for other people too. And the next story proves it in a way that's honestly a little unsettling. Somewhere in Israel, 8 people sat behind a desk for years deciding the fate of strangers. Parole judges. Their job, review case after case, all day, and decide who earns a second chance and who stays locked up. Serious decisions. The kind you'd hope are based purely on facts, history, evidence. Researchers quietly track thousands of these rulings and line them up against one variable nobody expected to matter. The time of day relative to the judge's meal breaks. Right after breakfast, right after lunch, right after the afternoon snack. Approval rates spiked to around 65%. But as the hours stretched on, without a break, that number didn't dip a little. It slid steadily downward, creeping toward almost 0, right before the next meal. Same cases, same laws, same judges, completely different outcomes, depending on how depleted their mental battery was in that exact moment. Tired and hungry, the brain doesn't suddenly become cruel. It becomes efficient. It reaches for the easiest, safest, lowest effort default. And in that courtroom, no was always the path of least resistance. Now bring that back down to your kitchen table, your closet, your inbox. When your tank is empty, you're not making a conscious decision to leave the dishes in the sink. Your brain is quietly defaulting to whatever takes the least effort, and clutter, chaos, and procrastination are almost always the lowest effort option available. This is the part that changes everything. The people who look naturally organized aren't fighting this battle harder than you. They've just figured out how to stop relying on willpower in the first place. Think about kids in a famous old experiment, sat in front of a single treat, promised a bigger reward if they could wait without eating it. The ones who held out longest weren't the ones gritting their teeth staring at the marshmallow. They were the ones who looked away, sang a song, turned their chair around. They didn't outmuscle the temptation. They outmaneuvered it. That's the real secret hiding underneath all of this. Organized people aren't running on more discipline. They've built small, boring, repeatable systems that remove the decision entirely. The same keys hook by the door, the same 15 minutes each night, the same short checklist. So their tired, lazy, easily drained mental system never has to fight that battle at all. Teams that consistently perform at a high level do the exact same thing, by the way. The most functional groups researchers have studied, the ones that build, create, and ship extraordinary work under pressure, don't rely on everyone having superhuman focus. They build small daily rituals, a short morning check-in, a repeated routine everyone can lean on without thinking. The system carries the weight so the people don't have to. If this is landing for you, drop a comment and tell me which part hit home. I read every one. And if you want the rest of this explained, don't scroll away yet, because the next part is where it all comes together. So here's the real question. If willpower always runs out, if the tired part of your brain always reaches for the easy way out, how does anyone stay organized long term? The answer isn't more grit. It's a completely different gear. There's a state researchers call flow, that strange, almost hypnotic feeling where effort disappears. You felt it. Maybe cooking, maybe running, maybe lost in a project at 11 p.m. without noticing the time. In that state, your attention isn't being forced, it's being pulled. and pulled attention doesn't drain the battery the way forced attention does. The most organized people you know have quietly engineered their lives to run on that second gear as often as possible, not through motivation, through environment. A specific spot for the keys means 0 decisions each morning. A 5-minute reset before bed means the next day never starts in chaos. None of it requires the tired, deliberate system to show up and fight. The system already made the decision, days or weeks earlier, one single time, and it just keeps paying dividends. This is the piece almost nobody puts together. Organization was never a personality trait. It's architecture. It's the difference between rebuilding your resolve from scratch every single morning and building a structure that holds itself up even on your worst, most depleted day. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you, in a good way. Right now, somewhere, someone just like you from 6 months ago, exhausted and convinced they're simply not an organized person, is about to try the exact same white-knuckle approach you tried. The willpower approach, the one that runs out by Wednesday. They don't know yet what you know now. They're about to burn through their battery fighting a war that was never meant to be fought with force. You don't have to be that person again. You don't need more discipline tomorrow morning. You need fewer decisions. One small routine, repeated until your tired mind doesn't even register it as effort anymore. That's the whole secret. Not the app, not the planner, not the 5 a.m. alarm, just one small piece of architecture, built once, that quietly runs your life from now on. That's it. That's the whole trick they never taught you. If this changed the way you think about your own habits, hit like so more people see it, and follow the channel. There's a lot more of this kind of thing coming. See you in the next one.